Hey everyone, it's me, Tisha, over here at She Is the Return Jesus Maria. I apologize about my video cutting out. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I think it's people hacking into my phone and interfering into the projects that I be trying to make. So I also want to say I apologize. Like, I meant to say chapter 6 and I said chapter 4. So I want to let people know, okay, that I have high functioning autism. So sometimes I mean to say what I want to say, but sometimes my brain just ends up, not so much my brain, but my mouth just speaks the opposite of what my brain initially wants to say. Like, for instance, in the video that I think I made yesterday or the other day, it had to do with the 3.5 years. And I was talking about simplifying. I'm like, oh my God, I did it backwards, which is an autistic trait. We have a tendency of doing things a little bit backwards. Like, one of my major flaws is that I get my lefts and my rights confused all the time, even with shoes. Not with myself so much, but when I put it on somebody else. I don't know why. I've just always been like that. But it's because I have high functioning autism, okay? So if you notice that I make any mistakes, just please put that into consideration. I would greatly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. But again, simplifying, I meant to say, if you want to simplify 3,500, it would be 3.5, okay? So I don't look at the beast or the dragon or the serpent or whatnot having power for 3.5 years. I see it from a different perspective because I understand how certain things were changed, even when it comes to around ages. Like, nobody lived 365 days. It's impossible. It was years. So people changed these things. And some people catch on to it, while others, they just haven't catch on to it. So I apologize about the simplifying error. I truly meant to say to simplify 3,500 years, it would be 3.5K years, basically. All right, so it's been a while since I uploaded the first video that I did, so I don't entirely remember where I left off at. I believe it was here at chapter 20. Okay, so I'm at the book of Esdras, from the book of Apocrypha, chapter 6, not chapter 4, chapter 6, starting at verse 20. Okay, so, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I shew these tokens. The books shall be opened. So the books that shall be opened has to do with the book of life and also the book of death, I believe, which is in the book of Revelations, when they begin judgment on the people, the ones that are basically still surviving, I want to say, they open the books. So that's what this is referencing to, okay? Hold on, where was I? Okay, the books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The woman with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old. and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. So basically, the way that I understand this, okay, some children, they do start talking at a year 8, at a year old, okay, dependent, okay. Now, when it says, shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live. Think about children that are born prematurely. Some are born at 3, 4 months old, and they end up surviving. Not all of them, but it's very random that they will survive. And suddenly shall the sown places. So shown places, to shown is to basically like to harvest, to seed. All right, like, you know that saying, you shall reap what you sown. So basically what you planted is what you harvest. So when it speaks about, and suddenly shall the shown places appear unsown, so that means that places that had a lot of harvesting are no longer going to harvest. And it could be anything from farms, like supermarkets, anything. It could be anything. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all those that I have told, these shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. So basically the end of your world, okay, so it has to do with the old world order system, which there's this individual that goes by the name of Mike Cockney. Now, it was him that caused me to be in the position that I'm in today, okay? Mike Cockney is known as a ghostwriter, so he also has books under the name of Adam Weishaupt, Michael Foss, Adam Knights. Oh, there's another person's name. I just can't think of it. And I believe it's a philosopher too. Oh, Hegel, I think it is. He also goes by the name Hegel, I believe. Something Hegel. But, this individual was promoting information around the old world order, his agenda, what he was about, A, B, C, and D, okay? So, in his literature, from my understanding of the little bit that I read, because I didn't get all deep into what he was, because intuitively, I just knew there was just something up about this. I just knew. But some way, somehow, I was dragged into it, for real. So there was nothing that I could really do. No matter how many times I tried to escape it, I was pulled back into it. So this is the individual that caused me to be in the position that I am in today, because he is the one initially behind a lot of these attacks. And it's not just me, it's with other people as well. Okay, I just don't think people speak about it as much as I do. But in this material, he spoke about the old world order. Now, the old world order is a system that was founded through the churches, which are the individuals that have power at this moment in time. Okay? So basically, he even knew, all right? Because if you read his material, a lot of his material is not out, like his websites, like he's taking them down, changed them. His book materials are still out. You know, all you have to do is, like, if you were interested into knowing about it, you could look up the God series, okay? And he has a whole list of different books, okay? And a lot of it, some of it has to do with the old world order, which was built by the hands of Moses. All right? Now, this happened going on 3,500 years ago. And that's why we are in the day and times that we are currently in right now. Now, earlier, after my video was loading, I was reflecting, and I thought, and I was like, I was thinking about how God sat there and said, I created this, I will take it out. And I'm just like, I wonder, because it seems like even, okay, when my spirit was slain, that's when a lot of these hurricanes were getting worse. But once COVID came out, that's when it got even worse. Okay, so it's like I believe, like, there are a group of people that are in power at this current time that are literally trying to depopulize the world. And God, I believe, sees this, and God is like, no, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to end this, not you. So I had to put that into thought, and I'm like, let me put this into perspective for my next video. Okay, because of the fact that the New World Order, these individuals will go through, well, not go through, but they will go to death for it. You understand? There are people that will die for this system. There are people that will sell their soul for their system, and they do it, and they have. We see them on a daily basis. When we put on our TV, they are a part of that system. And they will fight day and night, blood and sweat, to keep it standing. Even if it means to kill off an entire human race, just so they do not lose power. Okay, honestly. So when it speaks in the end of your world, I believe that's in reflection to what Michael Hockney speaks about in his material around the old world order. But he's a part of the old world order, acting like they're going to bring a new world order when they're a part of the old world order. So it makes no difference. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. And the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed, and turned into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome. And the truth which had been so long without fruits shall be declared. I can't wait for that day. And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by, little and little, upon him before whom I stood. And these words said unto me, I am come to shew thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more, and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. For thy voice is heard before the Most High. For the mighty have seen the righteous dealing. He hath seen also thy chastity, which thou hast had ever since thy youth. And therefore hath he sent me to shew thee all these things, and to say unto thee, Be of good comfort, and fear not, and hasten not with the times that are past, to think vain things, that thou mayest not hasten from the later times. And it came to pass after this, that I wept again, and fasted 7 days. In like manner, that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he told me. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again, and I began to speak before the Most High. For my spirit was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress. And I said, O Lord, thou speakest from the beginning of the creation, even the first day, and saidest thus, Let heaven and earth be made, and thy word was a perfect work. And then was the spirit, and darkness and silence were on every side. The sound of man's voice was not yet formed. Then commandedst thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasure, that thy work might appear. Upon the 2nd day thou madest the spirit of the firmament, and commanded this 2 parts asunder, and to make it a dividiment, and commanded it to be, a division. I apologize. Let me read verse 41 again. Upon the 2nd day thou madest the spirit of the firmament, and commandest it to part asunder, and to make a division betwixt the waters, that the one part might go up, and the other remain beneath. Upon the 3rd day thou didst command that the waters should be gathered in the 7th part of the earth. 6 parts hast thou dried up, and kept them, to the intent that of these some being planted of God and tilled might serve thee. For as soon as thy word went forth, the work was made. For immediately there was great and innumerable fruits, and many and divers. It doesn't really make sense. Like, the English during this time was weird. For immediately there was great and innumerable fruits, and many and divers pleasures for the taste, and flowers of unchangeable color, and odors of wonderful smell. And this was done the 3rd day. Upon the 4th day thou commandest that the sun should shine, and the moon give her light, and the stars should be in order, and gavest them a charge to do service unto man that was to be made. Upon the 5th day thou saidest unto the 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes. And so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things at the commandment of God, that all people might praise thy wondrous works. Then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures, the one thou callest Enoch, and the other Leviathan, and didst separate the one from the other. For the 7th part, namely, where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. Unto Enoch thou gavest one part, which was dried up the third day, and he should dwell in the same part wherein are 1,000 hills. But unto the Leviathan thou gavest the seventh part, namely the moist, and hast kept him to be devoured, of whom thou wilt and when. Upon the sixth day thou gavest commandments unto the earth, that before thee it should bring forth beasts, cattle, creeping things, and after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all. See, and this is where I believe that it contradicts between gods, because I just don't believe that Uriel is the one that created Adam. I don't. I believe Uriel created the Elohim, but not Adam. And after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures. Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. And the reason why, right, this kind of contradicts itself is because you could tell there's something being left out here. I can tell something's being left out, because of the simple fact is Adam was the male. Okay? Now, I'm not entirely sure, okay, if Uriel really wanted to create Adam or not, or if that were the great aliens. But I do know that the great aliens are the ones who are always known as the shiny ones, the bearers of the light or whatever. They try to make themselves look like they're the ones, they're the powerful ones. They're the ones responsible for all this. But a lot of people are not aware of the Sumerian gods, who are the angelic beings, the Elohim. Okay? They are literally human like we are, but they have wings and they're giants. Okay, so I noticed that even in history and documentaries, they try to confuse this, because the great aliens are considered to be giants, but not all of them are giants. If you look at the great aliens, they are some who are miniature. Okay, so when I read this part, because there's a part in this book, okay, I can't remember exactly where, if it was in Esdras or another book or not, but it states that Adam should have never been created. And that's why I say this kind of contradicts and conflicts itself between gods. Is Esdras talking to Uriel, or is Esdras talking to one of the great aliens? Or is there something that's being left out? All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, and this is where it becomes conflicted, because of the fact that if God made the world for our sake, okay, it would not be the entire truth, because of the fact the Elohim come from an entirely different planet, and so don't the great aliens. I think like the Elohim, the angels in which I speak of, had the ability of travel. So they traveled by wings, not UFOs. They were able to fly. okay? And they traveled from their planet, which I believe is Sirius, located in the Orion belt somewhere around there. I know because I was taken there, okay? So it's like, this is where I acknowledge and I can discern that there's something not being entirely spoken about here, okay? Because it's almost like, what if they're keeping out, and after these, like, what if they're keeping out the identity of the great aliens, and also the identity of the Elohim, so that they can confuse it and the people don't know the difference? So this is why man thinks that God created Adam and that Adam was the first creation. But Adam wasn't the first creation. Adam was the second creation. For our sakes. But it would be for the sake of man, not for the sake of the Elohim, because the Elohim came from an entirely different planet. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathens, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us, and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called by the firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? Wow, so that basically answered my question to a degree on its own, because it speaks it for itself here. I'm going to read it a second time. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us, and to devour us. So this is basically speaking of Adam. So why would Uriel create Adam to have dominance over us, knowing that Adam was sown with hatred from the beginning? Both we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn. You see, I told you there are two different forms of creation. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possession an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? And that's the ending of chapter 6, and it goes into chapter 7. All right? So I'm going to end it here at chapter 6, and then I'm going to do chapter 7 in a separate video. I want to go over this first in my own timing before I read it. That's 1. 2, I don't want these videos to be entirely long, because I don't want to lose my audience's attention. And sometimes when people are reading or speaking, if there's not too much of excitement, or it's not really stimulating. So the audience might listen to a few minutes and then you might lose them. And so I'm trying not to do that. So I'm gonna leave it here. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about this. Don't be ashamed. Just because your friends may not understand it, you don't know until you introduce it to them. You know, like, honestly. You know, to me, those who are ashamed of presenting knowledge and information around their circle, it's like you're basically ashamed of God. All right?